grave errors and gross misrepresentation, which resulted in a miscarriage of justice at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Now, in Article 35 grounds notice of appeal, he is asking the court to allow him bring in fresh evidence against Tinubu, which would be his findings from the Chicago State University. On the other hand, Obi, in 51 grounds notice of appeal, is challenging Tinubu's forfeiture of $460,000 in the U.S., inability to secure 25% of valid votes in the FCT, and failure of INEC to electronically transmit election results. That's what Obi has in a 73-page notice of appeal that is before the Supreme Court. That of the Allied People's Movement, as APM, was immediately dismissed by the 7-man panel of the Apex Court. Let's see how this went down on the space of social media. Austin Offer says, normally they wouldn't dare strike it out, as it will be so suspicious, but trusts they will eventually dismiss all petitions during the judgment. Now, APC's rule with day, no court ruling there goes against them. So fellow Nigerians, expect the usual. For this user, I am Sam, says the Supreme Court of Nigeria is trying to rush everything before FBI release the Tinubu files. More reactions to this is coming in from another user who says, tweeting at African Unifier, he says, Nigeria doesn't have the capacity to remove a sitting president. All the judiciary executives are all stomach infrastructure beings. But one day, Nigeria will rise up and chant, we had enough. But until today, I am still waiting for the one day. For Emmanuel, you can relocate to another country if you're not happy with the judgment. Tinubu is the president. Simple as that. Oh, well, the Supreme Court will decide who remains or who becomes the president. Now, as interested persons count down to the release of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's records by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that's FBI, and Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, Tinubu has, in a fresh appeal, asked the court to stop their action. The argument of his lawyer, that's Brian A. Kare, is that Tinubu will be adversely affected if the U.S. top security agencies go ahead to release in batches the 2,500 pages, as they noted. I mean, it's the end of October already, and they said they were going to do that consecutively for about 5 months. 500 pages monthly from October. So here we are anticipating that record if the court doesn't rule otherwise. Now, Mr. Worryshop says, now, wow, how can the Nigerian president be filing objections up and down? Is that in itself not a sense of guilt? Auntie Agbado says the energy Tinubu is using to hide his past and identity. If he focused 30% of that energy in fixing Nigeria, dollar won't be 1,210 naira today, and inflation rates won't have increased to 26.72%, but here we are. For Evans, he says, is it not the federal government, or does he think it will be a concern to us if it wasn't at the helm of the federal government? So he was saying that whatever will happen would affect the federal government and not he as a person. So that's what the last user was referring to, like, who is the federal government if not you? Now, away from that, the spokesperson of the Nigeria Police Force, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, has announced on X that lodging a complaint in any of the police stations in Nigeria is absolutely free. Now, he saw the need to mention that after a social media user, Lola Okinri, decried how he spent the better part of his previous day, that's the day before he made a post, at a police station in an attempt to lodge a complaint. He alleged that the officers on duty claimed to have purchased everything they needed for the process by themselves, and so reimbursement was important. So summarily, he wrote, like he was telling He wasn't really telling Adejobi. He just wrote randomly, but Adejobi saw the post and he says, please, you need to see the DPO in cases like that because those things are provided for them and not what they tell you. So reacting to this, Uzochukwu says, if you don't give, we know they won't even take the case. Even when you give, if it's small, they won't take you seriously. The only time they take you seriously is if you give a huge sum. Lekon says, you always ask if we see the DPO as if he will be at the counter. Even when the DPO is in the office, they will tell you he or she will be back in the evening so that they can escalate the matter. For this user, King Jabolani, it says DPO would be like president for police station. How you want to see DPO? And also in reaction, Edinet says they should be pasting all these things at each police station. For example, the bail is free, police is your friend, and all of that, so that it will not be one-sided, it will not be looking like one-sided information, like those who should be implementing those laws are not aware, but those who should be benefiting from it are only the persons that are aware. Let's have our final story that is coming from Gombe State. About 76 suspects in that state were arrested and paraded by the NSCDC at a same-sex birthday party that was going to have a same-sex wedding ceremony happen as well. So during investigation, it was discovered that 21 out of the 59 males were involved in gay activities, while the remaining males and 17 women were invited guests and onlookers at the birthday party. Now, while briefing journalists at the state's command headquarters in that's Gombe State, Commandant Muhammad Muazu said his operatives prevented the wedding from taking place, and he stressed that the NSCDC has zero tolerance for social vices. Now let's take a listen and come back for some reactions.
At Dua Plaza along Bauchi Road, holding homosexuals' birthday. And in that birthday party, there is the intendment to hold a same-sex marriage in the state. But I want you to be mindful that it is same-sex marriage.
All right, let's see how this met some social media users on the internet. Our first reaction to this story is coming from XXXX, and it says, "Why una no parade them like una do those ones you arrested at Port Harcourt?" I think it was Delta State. Hushua, he says, "Please don't put them in same cell." Oh, well, you are preventing might just take place, you know. And Good Manner says they will ensure the individuals return to school under observation, but the ones that were arrested in Delta State were promptly charged to court. Can you see the disparity in the application of Nigerian laws here? So, yeah, that's everything on Kakaaki Social this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of it. The show will return with Uncle Lee and Adora after this break.